there was a slight recession in 1921 after the World War I boom. Mm-hmm. But it was mostly not because of for economic reasons. It was mostly for racial reasons. Mm-hmm. They want to keep out Polacks and other Europeans whom they thought were inferior people.
Do you think that had an effect on the economy? Was there a connection?
I think it probably contributed to bring down the economy at the time. There have always been people who said that immigration was hurtful. Mm-hmm.
But do you see a difference now as opposed to 50, 40, 30 years ago?
I think different people are coming now.
Do you think that changes the situation in any way?
No, because all the evidence we have, the serious evidence we have, is that immigrants today are behaving very much like immigrants used to. Namely, there are incentives for them to try to become American, especially for the children.
Moved there 30 years ago, and when I moved into the neighborhood, it was all basically Scandinavian. I could go down to the corner candy store in the East End, and there I could find, I believe, the Norsk-Tiden, which was the Norwegian newspaper. I could get the English newspaper. There were two Scandinavian bakeries in the area. The churches in the area were at least bilingual in that they had English and Norwegian services. It was very, very Scandinavian. And over a period of time, the Scandinavians started to move out because they were second generation, they were retiring, they were moving to Florida or out to Minnesota, and their children were left with these houses. Or you had the older, original ones left with a big house, so they began to sell and move away. So the area became somewhat empty. And at one point, the stores that had been owned by these Scandinavians, Norwegians, closed up and became sweatshops. And the whole area started to become dismal. And one cab driver said he wouldn't drive through the area at night if he had a choice. And the first indication that the Asians were moving in was one day when I was going to work, I noticed one of the sweatshops had now closed and was now, if I remember correctly, the Bright Bakery. And inside there were the Asian men and Chinese men sitting down, having tea and eating pork buns. I do not know where they worked in the area, but they would eat and go to wherever they worked. That was very strange. But then further down, another bakery opened up closer to the 8th Avenue stop on the Sea Beach line. And eventually more Chinese people started to come in to go to work. Eventually they bought these abandoned storefronts and started to open up their own little businesses. It may have been a green market, it may have been a little restaurant, and eventually you could see that the houses that were for sale were starting to be bought by the Asians. So very slowly, but very steadily, the area started to change in ethnicity and complexity. Not only that, but economically, it started to pick up because as the stores were bought and the businesses opened, they attracted more business, and that attracted people to look at homes, and they bought homes, so property values started to go up again.
There's a sharper and more extreme division between rich and poor in New York. I mean, when I lived in Manhattan for about 20 years on the Upper West Side and also the Upper East Side, and there were lots of immigrants. It was very, you know, there were lots of people from all different countries living in the same buildings, and now I think it's less that way. I think poorer people have been forced farther out of the city, and mostly white people and wealthier people are closer to, you know, the center of things. I also think there's more, since 9/11, I think there's more hostility against immigrants, or more, maybe not more hostility, but more open hostility. I think a lot of white people feel more at liberty to criticize other people for not being American.
They are smarter.
How so?
How so? They will not go for minimum wage no more. So I was the one who actually was taught by the old generation of immigrants that you have a job, you keep it and be happy. They said no. Money first, and then I will show you what I know. So I think they are smarter that way because my generation and generation before paid already. Now I learned to be free. That means I don't make a decision because I have to. I make a decision because I want to. If I want to accept the job, okay. If I don't feel appreciated, I simply gonna leave the job.